This is Innovation and Leadership, where we interview Navy SEALs, venture capitalists, pro athletes, best-selling authors, Hollywood filmmakers, really as many different kinds of high achievers as we can get to come on the show. Today's episode is going to be from our mini-series that we created with Corporate Alliance, asking top CEOs and executives and entrepreneurs who have had very large exits, specifically about their thoughts on leadership and people. So, you've done a few things. I understand you got a New York Times best-selling book. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. We hit New York Times bestsellers 2010 and 11, and we've also helped a lot of people with getting their books out and content. And so I love writing. I love education.
So you've built a company. You're in private equity now. You're helping other tech businesses. Well, first, tell us about your book and the best place for somebody to check that out.
Yeah, we wrote a book called Prosper, Ethan Willis and I, and we worked closely with Ken Blanchard and wrote a book with him called The 1 Minute Entrepreneur, and so you can get it on Amazon. It's Prosper is the name of the book, and it's really kind of the whole thing about how to balance money, happiness, and sustainability, and is a ton of fun writing it, and really it helps you to self-reflect and say, like, man, how do I do those things? Because the book really is about, a lot of people that we probably know have had really good success at making a lot of money, but they're miserable. There's other people that are really happy but don't have a lot of money, and there's also a lot of people that are like grasshoppers, great on takeoff. You never know where they're going to land. And so we really, the term prosper is actually multidimensional. It's a combination of how to balance money, making money, having fun, and doing it over a long period of time. And that's when you really have sustainable growth and satisfaction in your life. So that's kind of the premise of it. But yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It's just Prosper for Andy Garn.
That's great. And so nowadays, you're obviously doing private equity with Greer Co., spending a lot of time with sounds like one of your portfolio companies, Scipio. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, we have an amazing company. Kind of like if you ask me what I've spent my 10,000 hours in, and what my real core competency is, it is one, growing people and helping other people see more and do more in themselves. My dad was a high school football coach for 29 years and kind of growing up in the whole coaching space. And we build a pretty, one of the largest coaching and training companies in the nation from 99 to 2012 and had a blast doing that. But right now, Scipio is, I love watching for things that are really hot in the tech space and especially in marketing and communications. And to grow any company, you got to be able to communicate well with your customers, right? So we built we built a company called Scipio, and it's actually a text mobile marketing company. And so, not a lot of people are reading email anymore, right?
There's certainly an avalanche of it.
Yes. So, open rate on email as 2017, it's 2018 now, it's about 12%. And so we're teaching people how to utilize mobile marketing, text and voice broadcasting appropriately with SMS and MMS. So that's kind of it's a text-based mobile marketing company for customer acquisition, customer communication, client retention, all that fun stuff. So it's exploding and a ton of fun.
Yeah, no kidding. And tell us about the business you built and sold.
So there's been several. We did a company called Prosper. We built that up, and it was a ton of fun. We had well over 700 employees and had clients in 80 different countries. Had built up a pretty large database of well over 2.4 million people. So that was a ton of fun to really grow that and learn a ton there of, man, how you take a company from zero. We bootstrapped that thing from the very beginning, and so it was just growing every single person. From one of my favorite employees, Jade, started in customer care and became our chief marketing officer because he kept learning and growing. And so it was a ton of fun growing that, and the people that I met and fostered through that are still really good friends and actually doing business with us today with Scipio and the mobile marketing company. So it was a huge success and a ton of fun.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, the show here, Leadership and People, obviously being involved in multiple businesses, there's a lot of both those things.
Hmm.
Um, when you think about maybe early mistakes that you made in leadership and what you found works in the end, is there anything that comes to mind right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. I think as a leader, in the very beginning, to scale, and we've always heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far and go big, build a good team. I think in the early stages when I was young, we started our first company when I was a junior in college and won Entrepreneur of the Year, and built that and ran that for the next 14 years. And so when you start out and you do that, you think you have to do it all, and you actually, and I will say some of the things, like I love the recognition of the growth. Hey, oh, look at all the success you're having, and look at all that you're doing. To you shift that to really being like, man, how can I give others recognition, and how do I get out of my own way? And the more people, like that law of reciprocity, the more people I can help that work for me to have success, the more successful the whole company is going to be. So right now, for after I sold that, we built a company called the Hero Club, and we had hundreds of CEOs that we were working with on strategy, innovation, ideation, and this is what I would work with them on. I'd say, okay, guys, you got to build your team, and even if you're going to sell your company or have a private equity company come in and buy it, or VC, they're going to buy the team. They are not going to buy your product or service. And I don't know if you've seen that, Jess, and because I know that you've ran private equity groups and different things, but is that not the case?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a product and future cash flows are what people get interested in to begin with, right?
Yep.
But I think what happens is most of us, we get, at least this was the case for me, we get won over by a deal where
Yeah.
we're kind of lying to ourselves a little bit about the people, and we're thinking,
Yep.
oh no, we'll be able to manage them, we'll be able to keep it in line, it'll work out, look at how great this deal is. And in my experience, those have been some of the biggest financial regrets in my life, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think maybe there's plenty of people smarter than me that don't do that in the first place, but I'm guessing there's a few folks like me that they get in it for the deal at first, thinking they can handle the less than stellar people, or the things that they're trying to convince themselves are just fine about the people involved, and never seems to pan out in my experience.
Exactly. So I mean, to have a really, the difference between a really big company, let's say, for a $20 million company, is you might have a really good product, or you might have a really good team that's really good at marketing and sales. But to build, a $400 million company, or to have a tremendous exit, both of those have to come together. And as soon as I learned that you literally have to be really, really good at four things. And my four things are four P's. And we teach this a lot. It's product. You have to have the right price point. You have to have the right promotion and marketing materials, and you have to have the right people. And I really do think that people are, in any circumstance, are the very, very most important thing. And you have to spend so much time on growing and building your people if you want to build a very, very successful enterprise. Um, and so it's culture eats strategy for lunch is what they're said. But I always say that culture and strategy together freaking rock, if you execute well.
Yeah, when you think about how many people pay lip service to that type of messaging versus the folks
Hmm.
that actually do it.
Yep.
Um, why do you think it's such a temptation for all of us to give in to the short term win of, well, let's just get it done and we can build our team skill set later, or we can invest heavier in training and mindset later?
I think it has to do, honestly, a lot with maturity, real business maturity, and emotional IQ is what I call it. Right now, I mean, when you think about some of your favorite leaders, they don't even care about the credit. Like, I don't even care if people really know if I exist, or want to. I don't need the credit. I want to build up right now in my career. Like I want to help, you know, a young man that we're working with now. He came and saw what we were doing and fell in love with what we were doing. He like picked up. He drove all the way from Denver just to come be with us, and then he said, "Hey, I'll move my whole family out here and be here." And now I want to build him up. You know, I think that a lot of people do give lip service to it. I think there's a few really good ways that I've learned. I mean, really good case studies in helping people. It's really important to give recognition where recognition is due, and I don't think a lot of leaders do that as well as they could and should. But I also think it's also arranging compensation in a way that really gets them engaged and involved. I think comp plans are just as important as recognition. Again, and you got to hit those two things both. That recognition and saying, "Hey, good job," and the pat on the back and the nice email or the recognition at the Christmas party with their wives is fantastic. But I think if you align compensation around production and around production and success, then you're going to get a really good employee that actually feels really engaged as well.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that for a second, because when I think about a number of our consulting firms clients, it is a question that comes up a lot, is people feeling a little bit lost on compensation. Like, and I think the worst one is sales teams.
Yep.
Like, I've had a lot of conversations, and then we go through it ourselves in our own firm of like, man, we want to pay well. We want, especially with, sales being one of the, very few job categories where compensation, has been tied to higher performance, right? Like, you read a book like Drive by Daniel Pink, and they say, hey, once they're making as much as they'd make elsewhere, it stops having quite as much impact and meaning and autonomy, and these things have a bigger impact, right? But sales is one, per part manufacturing and sales is one where they say, okay, those two, we actually do see higher performance with the higher pay. And I'm interested in your thought process of whether it's setting up your own or whether you're advising portfolio companies on that balance of security and commissions and not incentivizing selfishness, and how do you get them to still be part of the team? Any interested in any thoughts you have about navigating that conundrum sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few ways that you can do it. I know, and working with your team and sharing with them is like kind of, if you look at profit per employee, right? And you do that just by dividing, your profit divided by the amount of employees that you have. Because I love it when somebody asks me, is like, hey, how many employees do you have? If they have 1,000 employees, does that mean that company's successful? Or if they have 50 employees, what if you have, we're working with one company, has about 16 employees and is doing $24 million in revenue. You look at that profit employee between that and a company that's doing 17 million in revenue and has 300 employees. And so you can align compensation in such a way, and it depends on what industry you're in and things like that. But one of the ways that you could do that is just do a little bonus plan each quarter around profit per employee. And I really do believe things that are measured will make an impact, and especially if there's something tied to that. And so even if it's small, even if you do something where it's each quarter, somebody gets $100 or $50 and you say, hey, good job on that. And there's something tied to that, both economically and recognition, because that is recognition. That I think that there's ways that you can do that simply by that profit per employee, by that profit by employee ratio, and come up with maybe a scaled tier pricing on how you do that and how you compensate accordingly. So you could do that from the receptionist down to your business development guy to your engineer, and so that everybody's aligned in the success of the company.
Yeah, that's interesting, because specifically for sales, historically it's so much, what did you do, right?
Right.
And
right.
you can end up with sales teams that have got somebody posting really big numbers but basically abusing the rest of their coworkers, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Let's talk about thinking about subjects like this. let's take it to when you're evaluating an investment. When you guys are choosing another SaaS company that you're thinking about getting involved with,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of things are you looking at compensation wise, and whether they're overpaying, underpaying, and how do you evaluate stuff like that as far as the attractiveness of an investment for you?
Well, and I think when you look at a company, we just acquired a company out of Dallas, Texas, and most of the team is now moved out here, and the CEO, who was the CEO of that company that was acquired, is now working with us, and he's got his hands in his meatloaf, going strong and continuing to build the company. And I was nice because once you acquire it, we actually were able to give him a little bit of a raise from what he was doing, because he was bootstrapping so much and putting everything back in the company, and we were able to give more, and to stabilize that, and to get him a place where he's like, hey, I don't have to worry about anything else. I'm just going to now focus and grow this company. Because before, when he was doing it, he's taking a $50,000 salary and then pumping all of the profit back in. But we were able to come in, do a little bit of a liquidity for him, and then also do a much better salary, and then now continue to grow the company. And so I think that's why you need to look at, and especially in the SaaS based services, if you're trying to bootstrap, again, you need to look at, man, how fast do I need to grow this? Is my economic, we look at the economic engine of the company first and foremost, is like, is it a solid product? Is it in the right space? Can we continue to get the right engineers and software to grow? And then let's look at the compensation of the team, where we are able to come in and acquire that, and then give everybody a lift, and now that's just running hard. And so it's different. You run it differently when you're able to really do that. But then you got to now align on performance. Okay, guys, we're upping everybody's, increasing people's salary, and we're doing this. But now we have to run hard. Now we've got to perform. We've got the resources needed, and now we're going to grow this thing from $1 million to 15 million in 2 years. And so
specifically with that, let's talk about that one. Where you guys are, I mean, it sounds like you're trying to change the pace of what's happening. Mm-hmm. What's a tangible thing? Like, let's say somebody listening today is saying, okay, we have kind of hit that milestone, and now we want to accelerate our team to that next level. Any like tactical examples of what that looks like structurally, or is there a scoreboard on the wall, or what's an example of helping them run at that faster pace?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good example. I mean, that we did back, and this is kind of for sales specifically, is sales, it can be an individual sport, right? But we were able to, we had actually hundreds of sales reps. We were able to break them into pods of 8 to 10 with a manager over them, where before everybody was just kind of on commission based, base salary plus commissions of what they did. We actually started to gamify it, and we put them in. And I've actually seen groups of 6 to 10 work really, really well with a manager. And what we did is we said, okay, here's your base, here's your commissions, and then we said, for your team, if you guys hit these different levels in sales volumes, then we'll give an extra 2% kicker that's shared with everybody, but that's shared with your whole team, but according to how much revenue you brought in. So if somebody brought in $10,000 in sales and somebody brought in $48,000, it would be pari passu on how much of that 2% they would get. But everybody would get a little kicker. So it became a really good team effort to have great success. And so, but it was again on what they're able to do. And then, so I mean, doing fun things like that where there's a team incentive, and breaking them into teams so that there's more teamwork and effort, that worked really, really well for us. And then we just exploded once we kind of came up with that compensation structure.
Interesting. Anything besides the structure to help people want to bring more of that team feeling to work on a, something that can be an individual sport like that?
It's it is. Yes, we do. I mean, not just, and I'll go off the compensation to actually doing team incentives. I do a lot of training, a lot of work on really kind of experience economy, and we'll take our sales team out and go shotgun shooting for the day, or do an incentive. Whoever does the best, or we'll take our executive team out skiing. We just had Mark Eaton come into our office, and we hired Mark Eaton to come in, and he talked about the four commitments of a winning team, and his last two commitments were basically, you have to recognize others and get out of your own way and know when to pass the ball off to somebody, and his last one was take care of your teammates, have loyalty, and the more you build people up in that. So Mark came in here and talked just recently, actually on Monday, about culture and about teamwork. And so we bring a guest speaker in every single month. Every month we bring somebody in that focuses on culture, that focuses on teamwork, that focuses on growth. And so also keeping the employees really, in the right mindset and things is really, really healthy. And so we actually invest quite a bit in training and quite a bit in leadership, along with aligning that compensation.
Yeah, I'm interested in that subject for a minute, because I think it's easy for people to feel like, on the outside, bringing in, Mark Eaton, for people that don't know, such a, wasn't he a Hall of Fame for like second most amount of rebounds in NBA history or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's just ginormous heart, ginormous person. He's 7'4". If you go to 7foot4.com, but yeah, he just wrote a new book that's actually going to be coming out in April, and he kind of shared everything with us. But yeah, Mark is he's humble, he's amazing. He was an auto mechanic, and they found him underneath the hood of a car, and he played for UCLA, and then he went on to be the NBA's all-time shot blocker. And the guy's just awesome. But he inspired everybody to kind of basically said, quit thinking about yourselves. The more you give, the more you're going to get. And he shared real stories with a coach that brought him under his wing. He would have never played in the NBA. His dad didn't believe in him, and now he had one of the most successful careers of all times. But he said once he learned how to play a team game, even the Utah Jazz were horrible. They were horrible. They couldn't even get people to the stadium. He said when he started, there was maybe 3,000 to 4,000 people max at each game, and they were all just playing an individual game. And so he came in and shared with us the coach's philosophy. Frank Layden came and shared with us. He's like, guys, you guys aren't the best players, but we're going to be the best team. And honestly, for this whole week, our guys have been working together. We've been breaking records. They've been discussing what he shared with us. So it has been phenomenal, because now people's mindsets are in the right place, and that's so important that your employees feel both engaged, and that you're investing in them, and that they're watching out for one another. And so when you have a company that literally cares about one another and wants each other to succeed, and you get away from that just one-on-one playing, whether it's the engineer team or the sales team or the marketing team, where everybody's working together, where the marketing team goes, man, if I don't do this well, then our sales guys aren't going to have the materials they need to sell. And then the product team's like, man, if I don't get this product done by May 1st, then they're not going to be able to do this event, right? And so it's when you work together that you see some really good magic happen. So we had Rob Schallenberger on leadership come in the month before that, and then we've got another guy. We had Dave Horsager. He's talks about the speed of trust come in. He's coming in next month, and so he speaks to the UN and all over. And so I mean, we really really believe in educating our employees and helping them really learn from the greatest thought leaders.
That's great. Well, listen, I think it's a good part to end part one of the episode. Before we go, where's a good place for people to check out what you guys are doing? Is it go to Scipio.com, or what's the best link for somebody?
Yeah, it'd be awesome if you want to check it out. It's really hot tech that's growing like crazy. If you just go to Scipio.com, skipio.com is the best place to go kind of check out what we're doing. And we have it right now, so you can go in and get a demo if you want to go in and get a demo of it. But it's a really fun technology.
Very cool. Okay, thanks for making time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess.